levels of privilege, education, and circumstance color every individual experience differently, which I guess was a big lesson to learn pre-puberty. In high school, we had college recruiters come to our campus, and LMU was one of them. Back then, I really had no idea what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go to school. I just knew I did not want to be a business major like everyone else. Luckily, the recruiter mentioned LMU's high-standing film and television production major, and I was ecstatic. I didn't realize I could major in something I love. And with the mission statement of education of the whole person, I fell in love. I could study film and use my talents to help others. Along with my studies, I got involved at service at LMU. I worked with the Guadalupe Homeless Project. I helped run the LMU blood drive. I went on Dave Morris trips to Tijuana. I was a student coordinator for the Human Rights Coalition. I guess you could say I didn't have much free time, but I wouldn't have it any other way. There's a certain type of magic that exists in serving others, especially when that service is just sitting and being alone with another person. I know that idea seems crazy to some of my peers. Most people don't consider it service unless you can visibly see an end goal. Like, I made 1,000 PB&J sandwiches today. Or, I picked up 1,000 pieces of trash today, which is important, don't get me wrong, but simply sitting and being with another person is equally, if not more, beneficial. A few years ago, I traveled to El Salvador on an Ignacio companion service trip. There, I met Pablo Alvarenga.
From 1980 to 1992, a civil war raged in El Salvador between the U.S.-supported military government and the left-wing FMLN guerrilla groups. The Army's counterinsurgency strategies included terrorizing civilians to keep them from supporting the communist guerrillas. 16,000 unarmed civilians were killed in 1981 alone. All the youth were turning up dead in the trash piles around us.
Pablo lost 5 of his children to the war.
Benjamin
Died as a messenger moving between guerrilla encampments in the mountains.
Gladys,
Shot in the back and drowned in her own blood.
Nena,
Died in an ambush. She was raped and cut to pieces with a machete.
Victor,
Was killed by tank gunfire. The military army stripped him, poured gasoline on him, set him on fire.
Samuel Antonio,
Committed suicide. He left a note saying,
Papa, Mom, I made this decision so I would not be a burden to either of you in this life. Goodbye.
despite his hardships, Pablo found it in his heart to forgive those who had harmed him and his family.
We continue on so that one day we will be able to live as brothers and sisters, forgiving one another.
The story was amazing. I had to make a documentary about him. It was a moment where there were no words left, so art took over. There was nothing I could do to bring back his children, but I was able to use my talents to expose the injustice he and his community faced. One day, I was doing service at the Guadalupe Homeless Project, and I sat down and I chatted with this man. He said he was from El Salvador, and I was so excited to talk with him about his life and my life-changing experience there. And we began to talk about his experience during the Civil War. However, as our conversation progressed, I realized that he fought on the U.S. government-supported military side, the side that was responsible for so much of the violence the country faced, the side that was responsible for the deaths of Don Pablo's children, along with countless others. This man showed no remorse or regret for helping kill his own people. My friends. I wanted to be him. and all the others who fought for the government during that time. I realized that I too must forgive him and love him. Hate doesn't get us anywhere, but love does. Whatever one does with his or her life, it is imperative to remember those on the margins and those who suffer. For each contribution to society affects the community in some way. We were put on this earth for each other, as a community of human beings. The world can only be liberated from the plagues of life when it embraces solidarity. I want to continue to use film to bear witness to the injustices of the world and to share the stories of the voiceless. I want to use my art however I can for the betterment of the world. For my parents, for Don Pablo, for El Salvador, for myself, for you.
¿Cómo no va a ser fuerte nuestra fe? No es una sangre viva la que nos da vida a nosotros. No son hijos del Señor los que creyeron en Él por un mundo mejor para todos los que dieron la vida igual que Jesús. Seguimos adelante, que un día no vamos a ser todos, pero sí la mayoría, que vamos a poder convivir como hermanos, perdonándonos unos a otros.